Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, Tarkin, somehow the entirety of the month of January is basically behind us and we're moving into February. And I remember the Christmas tree just being up, but now it's been dragged into the alley and thrown away for mulch. What we're going to do is go over all the fun retro gaming news of the month of January that don't involve emulation whatsoever. And honestly, it's been a very big month, probably the biggest month in the last 12 months or so, in my opinion. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But even though I only ran the video about 3 or 4 days ago, honestly PS2 Recomp being a thing moving forward into the future was probably the biggest bit of news we got in January. And even if the PS2 Recomp tool is not completely done yet, it has a very good foundational start and it's going to be amazing moving forward. Because once this thing gets buttoned up, I feel like you'll see the first PlayStation 2 Recomp in about 6 to 12 months. But as I said in the primary video, recomps aren't just drag and drops, they're not one-click processes. This tool will get you a lot of the way there, but human beings are still going to have to go in and deal with a lot of the debugging and otherwise linking together of everything that would work when it is a PlayStation 2. That is just how these things are. Every single game can and will use different functions of the PlayStation 2 hardware, and those all need to be accounted for, and sometimes there's edge cases where people actually have to go in and basically fix very small issues in the recompilations in and of themselves. But honestly, since we already have the N64 Recomp tool, this is basically kind of using that as a basis, at least conceptually, to get us there for PlayStation 2 as well. And honestly, even though we have PCSX2 and it is incredible, having multiple options out there is going to be a good thing. Because in the initial video, a couple of people commented and said, well, why even bother quote-unquote wasting your time making this when we have PCSX2? Remember, when people dedicate their time to doing something for the community for no money, there is no such thing as wasting your time. Because trust me, we have incredible N64 emulation as well, but absolutely everyone loves the recomps and PC ports we're getting. So hopefully soon, maybe by the end of the year, maybe by mid-year next year, we will see at least the first PlayStation 2 recomp out there. Because I would love to see God Hand brought to a modern environment with widescreen support, better frame rates, and everything else. This one's definitely exciting. Now jumping back a bunch of generations to the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, Final Fight MD had a full public release, and honestly I've done like 3 previews on this game, and every single time I say it is shaping up to be absolutely incredible, and the actual public release is no different. The amount of time and energy that went into taking an arcade classic and bringing it over to the Mega Drive and Sega Genesis must have been hundreds upon hundreds of hours just for the love of the game, pun very much intended. Final Fight is still one of the best beat-em-ups ever made, even if it is basically getting close to 40 years old at this point in time, and playing it on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive has been incredible as well. And the nice thing is this will work on software emulation, it will work on real Sega hardware, and it also works on the Mr. FPGA Mr. Core, and that is definitely impressive. Trust me, if you haven't played this one yet, I can't stress enough, it is a straight up 15 out of 10. It isn't just perfect, it's better than that. Just from the technical achievement alone, sure you get a couple of flickering sprites here and there, but otherwise this thing is just straight up legit amazing. The only thing it doesn't have, and I say this every video, is a pet the dog button. Since the 80s, that dog has been waiting to be pet by one of the characters of Final Fight, and they've still left him hanging. But all jokes aside, this is absolutely impressive, and I think you're going to see a lot more fun stuff coming to the Sega Genesis in 2026, because developers have gotten a real good hold on what the hardware can do, and with modern dev tools and SDKs that have been made by the community, you can do things with Sega Genesis hardware that you never could back in the day, and it absolutely shows here in Final Fight MD just how incredibly good this game is, and just how much fun it is. It's also going to be our first soundtrack sample because the music's amazing on Sega, so go ahead and listen, and I'll be right back with a ton more retro news. Now speaking of amazing arcade games getting home ports, we got the news that both Slashout as well as Emergency Call Ambulance are going to be in the new Yakuza Kiwami 3. And as someone who absolutely loves Model 3 and Naomi games, I've been advocating for everyone to play these things basically since I had a channel. And even though Spike Out is a Model 3 game, the sequel in the fantasy vibe setting, Slashout, is on the Sega Naomi, which is always interesting that it didn't actually stay on Model 3. and this is a game that absolutely feels like it was always intended to come home as a Dreamcast port, because if you play this one from start to finish in arcades, you're talking about an hour and 10 to an hour and 20 minutes to see the credits scroll, which is honestly way too long for any arcade game out there. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, it never did get a home port, and now for the first time ever, it is going to be available. And that is absolutely amazing, because it seems like Sega is just determined not to give us an actual compilation disc or even downloads for these games. They just put them in the Yakuza franchise. At least for me personally, I think Yakuza is one of the best franchises ever made. I have played every single game, so for me, it's just the icing on top of an already delicious Yakuza flavored cake. But I know for a lot of you would actually like to get these things as downloadable titles or as a compilation on a disc, but I just don't see Sega doing that anytime soon. And as far as the why of it all, I have absolutely no idea why Sega doesn't actually just release it. People would buy these, they would pay money, and Sega would make even more. But at least Sega does this in and of itself, because they could absolutely not put these in Yakuza and they would still have buyers for the game. And if you've never played Emergency Call Ambulance before or Slash Out, this is my reminder again. They're absolutely epic games, and even if you're not interested in actually buying Yakuza, you can go ahead and emulate Emergency Call Ambulance on the Supermodel emulator, and you can emulate Slash Out on Flycast. Works perfectly, because if you've never played these two, you're absolutely missing out. Sega was still the amazing developer back in the 90s that we remember, hitting these absolutely amazing games all the time, and it's nice to see two more of them are going to live a little bit longer in the Yakuza franchise. Now popping back to Final Fight kind of put Sega in there as a little bit of a buffer. Mighty Final Fight Forever also got its full release in January at the beginning of the month, and as far as a love letter to a franchise and a remake of an NES classic, this thing is just absolutely straight up amazing. I can't imagine how long it took people to work on this, but I will say their work was absolutely worth it, because this thing feels like a straight up retail game. Had Capcom decided to hire a studio to remake this and release it on Steam, PlayStation 5, Switch 2, and the like for like $20, people would have bought it, they would have been happy with it, and this thing would have reviewed like 9.5 out of 10 in my opinion. And just like Final Fight soundtrack sample before, the second soundtrack sample is also going to be Final Fight, because the music in this remake is straight up perfection in my opinion. So go ahead and listen for 35 seconds, but come back, because I still got a ton more retro news to share at the end of January. I mean, honestly, Mighty Final Fight Forever is a perfect game in my opinion. I think you're going to think the same if you haven't played it yet. Let's move over to Nintendo for a bit of fun, because Mushroom Kingdom Fusion got a nice big update in the month of January, and even though this thing has been around and in active development since like 2007, honestly 2026 is the year you should definitely check it out, because it has a ton more content, a ton more story, and just a ton more fun. And I absolutely, as a premise, love something like this, kind of mixing up the world of so many different franchises into one game. Because if you remember Super Mario, and I know you do, you never saw Roll running around in a Mega Man suit, shooting a buster at different Goombas and Koopas. It is just fun, it's always surprising you, and it's one of those things. It again shows the dedication of fans to just bring something new and exciting to everybody, because this is definitely something that takes an immense amount of time to actually make, just so people can enjoy stuff. And I love that the game trolls you as well. You think you're going to find the warp zone here, but it actually blocks you off, at least at the start. This game is just going to mess with every single one of your expectations as to what a Mario game is, because it really isn't just a Mario game. It's also a Sonic game, it's also a Mega Man game, and a ton of other games in between. And that just works as a fun formula, because there's so many different ROM hacks for Super Mario out there. There's so many fan games, but I love the fact that this one just basically decides to make a delicious stew out of throwing every single game it can think of into the pot and seeing what comes out. And as far as the performance on this one is concerned, it runs on a potato, it runs on a rotten potato, so everyone can enjoy this one. If you have played Mushroom Kingdom Fusion before, leave me your thoughts down below, because I always love hearing what you think about the games I cover on the channel. There's so many different things I could cover in a month. I wish I could talk about absolutely everything, but I kind of pick and choose what interests me and what I think is going to interest you, because if I did a video on every single bit of retro news, new ROM hack, and game in a month, I'd have to have a second channel that probably ran like 4 videos a day just to talk about all of them. but definitely give Mushroom Kingdom Fusion a shot. It is 10 out of 10 fun, and I absolutely love just how weird and absurd it gets. Let's pop over to PlayStation 1 now because Magical Date got a full English translation in the month of January. If you've never heard of the game before, it is half an arcade mini game and half a dating sim. And if that doesn't make sense when you hear it because you've never played it, trust me, it works, even though on paper it absolutely shouldn't work. It actually got its life started in arcades on the Namco system boards based on PlayStation 1 hardware, then it got ported home but only in Japan. And trust me, you have to have English to enjoy this one because the dating sim aspect is part of actually winning the game, and there is a lot of text that's going to be completely in kanji up until the point that this thing actually got translated. And the best part is the minigames are absolutely absurd and fun. Kind of feels something like Point Blank, also from Namco, except for the fact that it is more of an arcade control game and it's not a light gun game whatsoever. Think about Mario Party if at every junction in the game you had to ask a girl different things about her and then do photo shoot sessions. That's legit what this game is all about, but trust me, it's pretty tongue-in-cheek. There really isn't anything bad about it. It is just a vibe. But I absolutely love featuring translations on the channel, especially for games like this, because the translation and ROM hacking community really do bring a lot of fun to the table when it actually comes to making these games more accessible. And trust me, if you try to play Magical Date without the English translation patch, you would fail at it because there's so many different answers you have to get right in the dating sim portions if you actually want to do well in the game. But like I said, the game is a total vibe. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not, but take my word for it. Next game night, load this up, have people play this, and you'll see the screen blacks out really quickly until you get the photograph that you took of the girl that the game decided was the best one. Magical Date's fully in English, and that might be exciting, or you might just think it's weird. Now, sticking with translations, Ys 5 on PlayStation 2 was also fully translated into English in January, and again, that is absolutely amazing. Now, this game is definitely divisive. Some people love it, some people don't really think it's worth playing, but I will say I think it translated really well from Super Nintendo over to the PlayStation 2, and the translation here, again, is perfectly conversational. All of the formatting is good, and it is a really fun game to play. I probably put about 4 hours into this after actually playing around with it for the capture, and I've definitely enjoyed my time with it. And again, the translation community just keeps bringing us hit after hit every single month. Just think if none of these games were ever translated over, we'd be missing hundreds upon hundreds of incredible experiences that only ever came out in Japan. So leave me a comment down below and you tell me what's your favorite translation of all time. Mine is tied. It's either got to be Police Knots, Dead of the Brain 1 and 2, or something like Mizurna Falls. I always wanted to play those games, and because they are all now in English, I can. And that's really why the retro gaming community keeps delivering fun, and I'm always impressed by it. There's so many experiences out there that we would never actually get to enjoy if it wasn't for the translators and ROM hackers putting them in. And Ys 5 is just the next game in a long lineage of these translations, and I definitely think it is worth playing. And if you have played this one from start to finish in English, leave me your thoughts down below, because I would be curious. It's also going to be our next soundtrack sample. Go ahead and listen for 40 seconds, but come back because I still have even more games and translations to show you. But enjoy! Now, sticking with the translation theme, Emerald Dragon on the PC Engine is now also fully in English, and again, a game that I've been wanting to play for forever, because I actually have the FM Towns Big Box version on my shelf behind me, and even though that's not translated, the PC Engine version is widely considered to actually be the best version of the game for all of the different cutscenes and all of the different music, so having this one in full English as well, 10 out of 10 fun. I probably played about halfway through, at least what I think would be halfway through. I'm absolutely having an incredible time with it, and again, it's so fun to have something like this. So if you've ever heard of Emerald Dragon before and you wanted to play it in English, now is the time. You can 100% go out and do that, and that is amazing, and I can't wait to see what the next translation I'm going to be talking about in February is. Now Sonic and the Black Knight is also seeing a PC port, and technically I'm putting this in retro news because I consider the Wii retro at this point in time, and even though a PC port would be a modernized version of the game, I love that fans are just going out and doing everything. We have decomps, we have recomps, we have PC ports, we have remakes, translation, ROM hacks, brand new games that remake retro games. There really isn't a category that something isn't going on in, and I just did a video a few days ago saying we're in the golden era of retro gaming right now, and I 100% stand behind that. So if you want to play some more Sonic, definitely check that one out. And sticking with the kind of modern retro theme, Capcom vs. Square is also available in a demo, and I had a ton of fun with this one. Who wouldn't want new fighting games, especially one made by fans that put two franchises and two companies together that have never been together before? Playing Tiki from the New Zealand story, and yes, he is owned by Square because Square owns Taito, is just amazing. It also has a fun soundtrack, so it's the last soundtrack sample of the video. Listen, and I'll be right back with just a bit more.
This ought to be a match to remember. First attack. Yes.
So it's been an absolutely awesome month in retro, but if I had to give the nod to the biggest piece of news, this one should come as no surprise to anybody. PS2 Recomp getting its start is absolutely just going to be something in the future I think is going to blow open wide the PlayStation 2 community, bringing us PC port after PC port, or technically Recomp. But again, this might take 6 months, it might take a year, it might take 18 months. This is basically day zero stuff, but it is super future forward looking, and again, with all of the different recomps and PC ports we're getting, I can guarantee you that this entire kind of concept of how to play retro games in modern versions on your PC is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and I'm 100% there for it. If you could leave me a comment down below and you tell me what your favorite bit of retro news from the month of January was, I would be curious. But hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.